आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था मेरी ज़िंदगी में मैं ये बोलूँगा, और ये मेरे को वैसे ही बहुत क्रिंज लगता है। सो वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल।
Tragic and ironic.
तो मेरा ऐसा मानना है दैट आई लेवरेज यूट्यूब फॉर माई डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन फॉर माई आर्ट,
Is it true?
but the reality is I just want to put myself out so that the world can see, oh my god, there's this guy, he creates his art and just gets in awe of me. So how did it all started? सदियों पुरानी बात है कि वीरान से शहर में एक बंजारा हुआ करता था। और
One eternity later.
बंजारा, there was a lot of anger where it needed a vent to get out, and just somewhere not a human. So I just started writing. मुझे याद है कि so let me see, अभी भी I have some work, बहुत पुराना काम है, I'll take it. करीब करीब 4 नोटबुक्स हैं और फिर बहुत सारा डिजिटल है। सो दिस इज़ माई फर्स्ट नोटबुक। इसकी कुछ ऐसी हालत हो चुकी है जो, पर हाँ, द फर्स्ट इज़ ऑलवेज द फर्स्ट एंड द फर्स्ट आर स्पेशल। सो इन द सब्जेक्ट लाइन ऑफ इट इज़ रिटन माइंड ट्रूली। ओह माय गॉड। सो आई रीड समथिंग कि मैंने कुछ ऐसा लिखा हो। द फर्स्ट thing that I ever wrote on this is in English and it is beautiful. Let's read it. The day you start knitting your dreams with the needle of struggle, you will ultimately get the best of the knitted things ever.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck in my opinion. I mean,
पहली पोएम। जाने क्यों रूठ गया है खुदा हमसे, जो अपनी आवाज़ को बुलंद किए चलते थे सहम से गए हैं। जाने क्यों वो हंसते हंसाने वाले पल रूठ गए हैं हमसे, जो होठ कभी हंसाते नहीं थकते थे, जाने क्यों बेस्वाद हो चुके हैं। बहुत दूर आ चुके हैं खुशी के दरवाजे से, जाने क्यों इस मायूस सी दुनिया में खो चुके हैं हम, जाने क्यों। ये लिखी हुई है 28 Feb 2018 में। ओ माय गॉड, बहुत पुरानी है। सो नाउ लेट्स, कुछ इंग्लिश का भी होगा, हाँ, इससे बाद में मिली है सेम। सो दिस दिस पोम इन इंग्लिश, इट्स a bit long. I'll just read the last para. I write so to share my feelings without being judged. I write and so I will do, because who know, that's what I was made for. 6 years down the line and the man was right. जब लिखना शुरू किया तो मुझे हमेशा ऐसा लगता था कि यार कुछ कम है, कुछ छूट रहा है। लाइक दिस इज़ नॉट द मोस्ट ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ माई नॉलेज ऑफ वॉट आई परसीव समथिंग इज़ आर्ट। इट्स लिमिटिंग। सो फ्रॉम पोम्स आई स्टार्टेड राइटिंग माइक्रो टेल्स, छोटी छोटी, कुछ मिले तो बाद में। उसके बाद में आई स्टार्टेड राइटिंग short stories and after that I started writing songs, गाने लिखे, गाने म्यूज़िक बहुत ट्राई किया, पर कभी किसी को मुकम्मल जहाँ नहीं मिलता, कहीं ज़मीं तो कहीं आसमान नहीं मिलता। तो हाँ, वैसा ही कुछ था म्यूज़िक के साथ। फिर म्यूज़िक के बाद में आई स्टम्बल्ड अपॉन सिनेमा, finest art form of the 21st century. If not finest, the greatest art form of 21st century, no doubt. So I stumbled upon the real cinema. Like, the one person who influenced me the most would be the Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan, the moment I discovered, I was like, this can be filmed. Like, he legit made this. And then I was like, I gotta do it. I have to do it. This is what the epitome of artistry is, because it combines everything I ever tried and I ever did, and I was like, I can do it. And there it was, cinema. It was there. From anger, the second emotion which I wrote about was love and heartbreak. वो मेरा कभी दिल नहीं टूटा। लाइक ना अपन को अभी ऐसे प्यार मोहब्बत हुआ है, अपन कभी किसी का हाथ पकड़ के ऑन द बीचेस काइंड ऑफ शिट, नेवर. But the imagination takes you places. So you may wonder, is there a face for what I write? Imagine with whom. Yeah, there is, but who knows? Or the things that I have wrote about, they never happened to me, but I could see them. Like, I could see myself sitting in a cafe with somebody, sharing a laugh, then going, on a walk to just buy an ice cream, or anything which is just pure, soulful. और ऐसा होते हुए जब आप ये सोचते हो, you go into places, your imagination just takes you places, and then you hit the point where you just write it, and when you write it, you just complete it, and when you put that full stop after that piece, whatever you have wrote, a short story, a fiction, a short film, or a poem, now you enter the void. No, it's the place I never want to be. But then again, it's a cycle that I have to write, have to imagine. When I imagine, I write, I get into void. After that void, I come into reality, and that shift, it hurts. That derives from loneliness, that it's not that you don't have people around you, it's just that you cannot express that feeling to anybody else in this world. Nobody can just get it. Now, that void is the point where a lot of artists, you'd see, they become alcoholics, or they become chain smokers, because at that point, whatever thing you touch, or somebody or something, it becomes your addiction. And that addiction, it takes something from you that you don't realize. Like, if God has given you the gift which takes you places, those places takes something from you, and that is the very thin line that you have to walk as an artist, and understand that what is the gravitas of that thing. Because life is not in the grandiosity of it, but in the very mundane thing which you have to survive every day, you have to breathe every day, to create another piece of art which is just beautiful, soulful, to you at least. Because whatever I create, at the end of the day, I feel happy about it. Obviously, finance is one part of it, and this is the reason I'm doing YouTube, to get out my work, to reach out to more people, more audience, to create a distribution system by myself. But I create art for myself, and content on the very core of it is created for others, and art on the very core of itself is created for yourself. So in this contrasting nature, I'm again walking the same thin line as I'm walking between void and reality. मुझे कैसे पता चला that I'll be a writer, or I want to be a writer, या I want to be a filmmaker? Simple, करके देखते हैं क्या ये नहीं. So I just removed writing. मैं कहा अब नहीं लिखूंगा. It came bursting out of me. Like, there's a very beautiful poem by Charles Bukowski where he says that don't write if it doesn't come bursting out of you. और मैंने वो महसूस किया. मैं लिखना चाह रहा हूँ, पर मैंने कहा नहीं लिखूंगा, कब तक नहीं लिखता. और वो करके देखा ना, I was like, wow, this is it. I want to write. I want to do this. Nobody's telling me to write. Nobody taught me how to write. I learned it. I learned it on the way. I learned along the journey. When I sit to write, I'm the greatest writer in the world. जब मैंने वो पेन उठाया उस नोटबुक पे लिखने के लिए, या जब मैं अपने लैपटॉप पे कुछ टाइप कर रहा हूँ, I am the greatest writer in the world. There is no other thing that I think of at that time. At that point of time, I ought to be the greatest writer in the world. And to achieve that greatness, I am not here to compete with anybody. I don't want to write a movie which is better than Christopher Nolan, or I have to beat somebody in some race. I just feel that whatever I have picked up, whatever the art, whatever the niche I have picked up, when I leave it, जब वो मेरे हाथ से छूटेगा, और जब सालों बाद मैं खुद उसको वापस पढ़ूंगा, तो मुझे लगेगा कि हाँ, उस समय जो इसके साथ किया जा सकता था, with the limited equipments, with the limited mindset that I had, it was the best. ऑब्वियसली आज ऑफ मैंने नई चीज़ें सीखी हैं, तो मैं जब वो पोम्स पढ़ता हूँ जब मैंने तब लिखी थी आज से 6 साल पहले, तो मुझे हंसी आती है. इट्स ओके, इट्स फनी. बट दैट mediocrity was the requirement to achieve the mastery or the greatness. I have not achieved it yet, and there is a far long way to achieve it. But the fact that I am on it by the pursuit of it, and yet considering myself that when I am on the bench, I am the greatest writer in the world. I am. Narcissism is required to be an artist, because when you put something which is mediocre, people will say, oh, okay, cool. But at that moment you have to even put it again and again, so you just know that you have your own back. Okay, this was mediocre, the next is great. Then you put out something and people are like, oh wow, kya baat hai, like kya hi likh diya, kya hi bana diya. And you are like, yeah, पर वो भी मेरे लिए ऐसा ही था और ये भी मेरे लिए ऐसा ही है. But you still do it out. Even in mediocrity you do it, even in greatness you do it regardless of anything. I think that love, the obsession of something is what is called as passion, I think. But to me, passion as in something is nothing. It's obsession, and it's just beautiful. Art in itself is beautiful, and everything is art if you just have the eye to see it. Suffering is artistic. So though I don't like to romanticize suffering, but then you just know that it's there, कि बस वो है. And out of suffering comes the most beautiful of the arts, if you just ever see it. But it's not like that. Like Christopher Nolan, when you read about his life, he didn't had those sufferings which Sahir Saab had, but they both had the same impact on me. It's amazing. It's art. And there are also so many other influences that I'll talk about later in my videos. So yeah. If I have to say that what is the one thing that I have learned from writing from all of these years, I'd say it's the more you observe humans, the better your writing is. And Neil Gaiman has said really beautifully about it, where he said that if you ever have a writer's block, go live a life, go get your heart broken, go travel without money, and then when you come back and sit to write, you'll have a million stories to write about. So yeah. And even I myself ask a lot, till when I'll write.
I guess we'll never know.
जाने से पहले मेरा लिखा हुआ मैं एक शेर सुना के जाना चाहता हूँ कि हर रूह ने हर रूह को कई बार बेचा है. आज मैंने भी कांच देख के कहा कि तू आदमी अलग है.